So hi everyone, my name's Sara, Ghezzi, and like Linda said, I'm now at the University of Wyoming, but I was at University of Southern Maine for 5 years. So that could be a whole other talk, moving and starting a new job in the middle of a pandemic as well. And if you don't know a little bit about University of Southern Maine, there's 3 campuses in Lewiston, Gorham, and Portland. And the tourism and hospitality program was primarily based in Portland, so we could be right downtown. And if you're not familiar with more of the hospitality management side in the restaurant scene in Portland, they won Best Restaurant City in 2018. So we really saw a significant amount of growth. When I came to USM, we were a very young program, only 3 years old. And we really grew quickly. And at the time, in 2020, March 2020, when this class was taught, we had about 63 students, 2 full-time faculty members. And I also worked with our food studies program. It's a minor, so I was on their faculty council. So that was one great thing about USM, is just that collaborative nature between minors and other programs. And I really utilized that throughout my time at USM. So the course that I'm going to be highlighting today is our food and beverage management course. I had taught it about 3 times, and USM does not have any kitchen facilities or any teaching demonstration facilities. So since I started, I partnered with Southern Maine Community College, which is right down the road, about 3 miles away. Gorgeous campus, right on the water. You can see the Portland headlight from their dining room. So it's a great facility. And we started this partnership where we could use their facilities for our events and our programs. And we partnered with their culinary students as well. So they were a great partner. And it also helped our program that they could work together with the USM students. They felt comfortable in coming to USM. So it actually worked out great, where we received a lot of their students as part of our articulation agreement as well. So this course primarily focused on preparation, safe food handling, food safety, more of the operations side, menu development, and all of those aspects of running a restaurant, which can be very challenging. And so I tried to make the course as experiential as I could, very real world, where the students pre-COVID would plan their own dinner service. They would come up with the theme, they would come up with the staffing, the menu, and work with Southern Maine Community College culinary arts students to see if that menu would be feasible to serve about 50 people. So I really was hands-off in that process. I wanted them to serve and have a theme that they were proud of and happy with. In the photo here, this was the last time pre-COVID, we did an Italian themed dinner. So they really were hands-on in that process. And the last 2 times that I taught the class, Maureen, who is the chair at SMCC, we talked about just the food waste that was involved. And she was mentioning to me, you know, we waste so much food with the culinary classes. Maybe there's a way that we could come up with a research project that your students work on. And so that was the plan for this course, where we were going to try to make a zero waste event that focused on local ingredients. And so part of the learning objectives was really looking at, okay, what is seasonal right now in Portland and Southern Maine in April, when the dinner was supposed to take place. And we have about 27 students, which can be a challenge when you put them in group work and making sure that everyone is contributing. And this particular course, it's required in our program for the hospitality management concentration. We also have a sustainable tourism and innovation concentration. And so the plan was for their main assignments, the dinner, their participation. We were also going to test out a restaurant simulator. So when COVID hit, we utilized that a little bit more. And it's almost, if you think of a video game. So they would be on a computer, they could work in teams, and they're running a restaurant in a simulator. and they were going to come up with a food waste plan to make this as zero waste as possible. And then also they were going to go to the farmers market throughout the semester and create a standardized recipe. And what a standardized recipe is everything's costed out so that you can see how much money you're spending. So pre-COVID, we were going to do this dinner, sell tickets to the public. The students would market it. The last 2 years, it was successful. We didn't receive any money from USM or SMCC, so it was kind of our responsibility to cover our own costs with ticket prices, and we were very successful in that. Luckily, SMCC never charged us to use their facilities, so again, it was a win-win partnership, and we really wanted to work with local farms to also get their ugly produce that they wouldn't necessarily sell to markets, that would just kind of be sitting there. So that was something that we wanted to try and also use all aspects of the food. And that was new for the SMCC culinary students. So we kind of threw them a little bit of a challenge as well. And then creating a food waste prevention plan. So what that included was using as much of each piece of produce and meat as possible, but also looking at where to donate food after the dinner would have been completed. So we had to pivot really quickly. Again, this was spring 2020. I had about a week to go online. So as you can imagine, that was a little bit of a challenge. So we were not able to execute the dinner, obviously because of COVID and the strict restrictions in the humane system. But I still, really wanted to have them get that real world experience that really why they took my course and what they were looking forward to. So in a lot of my other courses, we do, real world events, and they get to really see that process and experience the stress, the anxiety, all the good and the bad. And so I really wanted to try to keep that in the class as we moved online, and also keeping community partnerships as well. So we were able to do that in a couple of different ways, where we did rely more on technology and Zoom. So we were able to Zoom in with several local farmers. They kind of showed us the gleaning process. So even though we weren't together at all, the students got a really great aspect of that. Some of them did not know what ugly produce was, so we learned a lot about that. And what was really great is many of them work in Portland in restaurants and hotels, and this gave them an opportunity to kind of bring that back to where they worked. So they implemented some really great things. At the Press Hotel, they worked more with union, and they have, if anyone's ever been there on their rooftop, they now have bees where they produce the honey. So they were looking at different ways to incorporate that into some of their recipes. And what was really great about that is it was both culinary students and the hospitality management students. After they worked together, they really wanted to implement some of these things. We were still able to work with SMCC. So as they developed their standardized recipe, they got feedback from the culinary students, what would work, what wouldn't work, and all of that again was done over Zoom. So we still had them make a restaurant plan for the next time that this class would be taught. So that's all ready to go for whoever is going to teach that at USM the next time the course is taught. And what was really great to see is the students took it upon themselves. They wanted to donate food. So on their own, they donated to Preble Street, which is a homeless shelter in Portland. And they took photos of that. So that was really great to see that they wanted to kind of take that on themselves. And then with moving online, again, they took their recipes. They've really focused what was in season. Again, we learned from the experts and the local farmers nearby in Southern Maine. And this is a picture of the restaurant simulator, just to give you an idea. It gave them more experience. It still allowed them to work in teams. Obviously, it's not as great as, if we were in the kitchen and serving food and working with guests, but it was a close second. So I was going to use this software after the dinner to kind of keep that learning going and kind of test it out for the software distributor. But it worked great. It allowed them to work in teams, allowed them to work together. So they were still pretty happy with the experience they received with that. And then some other things I didn't want to add on work to them. It was a very stressful time, but I wanted to make sure that, we didn't just move online and I was lecturing to them. I wanted to make sure they were getting everything they could out of it. So they did complete ServSafe food training for free online. Some of them also completed a leadership certification through the American Hotel and Lodging Association. So I wanted to make sure, those items are really great for interviews and then the hiring process for hospitality students as well. And we continue to work on the plan for next year. So we came up with a theme, how we would market it, what the cost was, what our ticket prices needed to be, our food costs and everything of that nature. So they still felt like they were in that process. They were just ready to actually cook and serve and be in the kitchen and everything. And even though we didn't do the dinner, we didn't have to donate food, we still talked to the culinary students to come up with, where their food waste issues were coming. Was it with ordering? Was it not using all of the items? So we did a little collaboration and continue to work with SMCC in that nature as well. So the overall student experience, they did have a lot of patience. They were, obviously very disappointed, but they stayed positive. They really liked that they were able to still continue to work as a team. The feedback that I was getting was they were obviously very stressed. All of their classes moved online. So even though I kind of kept them on the screen, they felt that they were getting a lot more out of it, especially with the ServSafe certification and some of those items. And, they overcame adversity and disappointment. And that's something in hospitality, you're going to go through. It's a stressful, emotional, sometimes dealing with angry guests. And I think they got a good experience of that, especially with, overcoming what we all did. But patience was a big key. They were very patient with me with getting everything online in a week. And they really enjoyed kind of that pivot. So, hopefully we don't continue online, but if we ever have to pivot again with these experiential learning courses, I think I got a great experience in what you can do with hospitality online. So it's definitely something I will take here to Wyoming, as the hospitality program here is very new. So I'm very excited that I'm in the school, the Hobbs School of Environment and Natural Resources, where there is a focus on sustainability. So I'm looking forward to not only teaching food and beverage management, but focusing on some of these important issues. So thank you everyone for listening to me. And I'd like to thank Linda and all my colleagues. This has been a great experience working with everyone.